On September 16th from the T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas, Nevada, and of course live on HBO pay-per-view, the fight the boxing world has been waiting for, Triple G and Canelo, for the middleweight championship of the world. But before they dissect each other in the ring, we dissect the fight here under the lights. Canelo, welcome. Thank you for joining us. You are the lineal middleweight champion of the world. You beat the man who beat the man who beat the man. And Triple G, I think it's safe to say you're the consensus middleweight champion of the world. You're the guy that people think about when they think middleweight champion because you've beaten up all the middleweights who would get in the ring with you. And, of course, here we have the great Roy Jones Jr., the best I've ever seen do it with my own eyes, to play referee and keep everybody honest.
Gotcha.
Let's start with you, Canelo. Why do you think there's been more anticipation for this fight than any fight since Mayweather and Pacquiao? Why do you think that is?
Creo que por el estilo de los dos peleadores, por noqueadores, somos dos peleadores que les gusta pelear, que les gusta estar en la pelea, y creo que eso para la gente lo que quiere ver es guerra arriba del cuadrilátero, y creo que esta pelea es garantía de eso.
When he says because of the styles, do you agree with that?
100%. 100% style, and last couple of years, we're both destroyed anybody. No, anyone.
You like to come at your opponents. You like to go get them.
Oh, yeah.
And it seems to me that you're most comfortable when your opponent is coming to you, when you don't have to look for him, because you're a natural counterpuncher. Even though you're aggressive, you slip punches very well and counter very sharp. So your strengths play into each other. Roy, do you think their strengths play into each other?
I think their strengths are playing into each other is what makes the fight so intriguing, because he's a hell of a counterpuncher.
Right.
Hell of a counterpuncher. Great head movement. Can stay right there under the gun, make you miss and make you pay. He's an offensive, he's a real offensive force. So it's like you got a guy who wants to offend and a guy who wants to make him miss while he offends.
Right.
So both of them, their styles, like you said,
you have an offensive fight.
Exactly right.
Your toughest fights, the closest fights you've had, are against guys who like to move and jab, and you won close fights against Lara and Trout, but they were closer than your other fights because they had that kind of stick and move style. That's not his style. So do you anticipate having a target there for your counters? In other words, an opponent who's going to present you with an opportunity to show what you can do offensively?
Creo que es muy diferente, muy diferente. Aquí estamos hablando de totalmente un estilo diferente, no un estilo agresivo. Él es un peleador peligroso, es un peleador peligroso porque en cualquier segundo de los 12 asaltos puede cambiar la pelea con un solo golpe. Entonces, nosotros sabemos que esta pelea es la pelea más peligrosa de nuestra carrera.
The most difficult. So you fought Floyd Mayweather, Lara, Trout, a lot of fighters, but this is the most dangerous and difficult fight.
Esta es la pelea más peligrosa de mi carrera.
What about you, Gennady? You just fought Daniel Jacobs, who's a very big middleweight, and he gave you a very close fight for the first time in your professional career. Is this the most dangerous, most difficult opponent you have faced?
Yeah, 100%.
100%.
100%.
But if he does even a little better than Danny Jacobs, that means he wins. Does that mean you have to be better than you were against Jacobs?
Completely different. Daniel, he's tall guy, you know, sometimes this is my emotion. You know, I don't have emotion to Daniel Jacobs. Right now I'm very excited for this fight, for Canelo. You know, I don't feel this, you know, with Daniel. Daniel, he's champion, he's very good fighter, he's a great guy, you know. Excuse me, just right now I feel different emotion. Right now it's my biggest fight. It's coming.
This is a fight that has been building for 2 or 3 years. There's a difference. It's like, you know how you always ask guys, who is the guy you look down the road and see? When you tell them, you say game, recognized game, who you see that's going to make you have up your game? He saw him. He saw him. These are the two guys that saw one another making each other up their game. So now you can't classify them with the people they fought before, because when he fought Mayweather, he was younger. He wasn't ready to really take that stage yet. Now he's back as a man, as a boss, as a real killer. And he has another man who's a boss and a real killer. So what we saw against Danny Jacobs, what we saw against Austin Trout, what we saw against all those other fighters, throw those guys out the window.
Canelo, here's an example of you countering off the ropes. Do you plan to go to the ropes against Triple G and counter like this?
Mira, yo creo que el rival te da la pauta para hacer cosas, ¿no? No todos los rivales les puedes hacer lo mismo. El rival te da la pauta para saber qué hacerle. A unos mi rival me va a dar la pauta para saber qué hacer arriba del cuadrilátero, para saber dónde...
Gennady, he totally outboxed Chavez.
Yes.
And even though Canelo's very effective countering on the ropes, and here Chavez is having some success, but Canelo's counterpunches convinced him to move away. Mm-hmm. If you get Canelo on the ropes, do you want to keep him there to do your work? Or is he dangerous with his back on the ropes?
No, it's completely different. Chavez, he looked very bad. You know, I think my style is more aggressive, more power.
Triple G, does Canelo have the punching power to keep you honest and stop you from attacking?
I think so. I think so, because, you know, just he destroyed anybody. He looks very good. He looks beautiful. Yeah, he has power. This is power.
Gennady, it's not just that you've knocked a lot of fighters out. You've provided these iconic moments here against Macklin, the left hand. Everyone remembers the way he was on the canvas from one left hand to the body, and he's rolling around on the canvas. Here against Curtis Stevens, the left hook, and this face he makes, like, whoa, what just happened? People remember that scene. Daniel Geale hits you with a right hand, and as you're rocking back, you still come forward with your own right hand and knock him out. People remember that. That's like in boxing history. People remember Rubio, you hit him on the top of the skull, and it was like there was a ripple on the top of his head before he went down. So these moments that you've created, people talk about your punching power, but it's not just punching power. You have to get the shot in. The punching power is no good if you don't have the skill to land the shot. What skill do you need to bring to land those kind of punches against Canelo?
Wow, it's a good question, Max. You know, I have this very good situation for these guys. Canelo, he's a different guy. He's extra guy. I know he doesn't have, for me, the same situation, the same chance.
He doesn't give you the same target.
Yeah, right.
He's harder to hit.
Yes. Canelo, he knows me, and I know him. These guys, he doesn't know him. This is first or second round. It's a surprise for him, for these guys. And Canelo, he knows. It's, you know, he knows every second. You know, this is a different guy.
It's a higher level guy.
Yes, absolutely.
You can't get to this level unless you're a very, very serious fighter. So there's motivation just from inside each guy. But I think there's also motivation for him because he had to hear for 2 or 3 years now, Canelo doesn't want to fight Triple G. He's ducking Triple G. Which position would you rather be in, Roy? The guy who's finally getting a shot or the guy who people were talking about leading up to the fight?
They'll both equally motivate me, and I'm going to tell you why. I would love to be the guy that's finally getting a shot because after all those years, wow, I'm finally getting my chance. Now I'm motivated. At the same time, I love to be the guy that everybody says, oh, he's ducking him. He ain't ducking nobody. But because he was a smaller guy, he can wait his time, which he did a good job of. But he never ducked nobody. He's been fighting people since he was 15 years old that he shouldn't have been fighting. So with that being said, his motivation is, I know y'all thought I was ducking him, but I don't duck nothing. So they both have equal motivation there.
What is at stake for you in this fight, Gennady?
Stake?
What's at stake for you? What are you risking? What do you have to gain? What are you risking? The way I see it is everyone, and we've been talking you up, and the boxing press and fans have built you up as this monster, and it's too bad none of the top fighters would fight him. If you lose to Canelo, then everyone comes out and says the first time he got a shot, he lost. So just because the fighters were done, so that's a lot at stake for your career, it seems to me.
Why not, man?
And if you win, the first time you got the shot, you proved that you were a great fighter. Do you think of it in those terms?
Yeah, you're right, Max. You're right. It's true. If Canelo beat me, you know, believe me, he stayed champions long time. I'm very support him. If he beat me.
Canelo, for you, I imagine that the first giant fight you had was against Floyd. You were very young, but you lost. This is the next. Cotto's a big fight, too. Of course, you fought a lot of top fighters, but this is like a mega fight. So I imagine what's at stake for you is proving that you really belong in the lineage of great Mexican fighters and great pound-for-pound fighters. I imagine that that is what's at stake for you. Am I right or wrong about that? How would you describe it?
En mi mente es la pelea más grande de mi carrera. He sacrificado muchas cosas para llegar a donde estoy y no pienso desaprovechar a esto. Amo lo que hago y quiero dejar en el boxeo bien marcado quién es el Canelo, y para mí esta pelea es muy importante. Tengo una obsesión y es el 16 de septiembre salir con la mano en alto. Y eso no me lo va a quitar absolutamente nadie.
This fight going the distance?
Mira, yo creo que una pelea como esta es difícil de decir si va o no va a la distancia. Es una pelea que tiene mucho porcentaje de terminar por nocaut.
This fight going the distance?
This is fight in biggest percent to knockout.
This fight going the distance?
No.
Someone's got to go.
Somebody got to go. Too much activity, too many utensils. These guys have it all. They know how to open, cut, slice, burn, shoot, rob. They know how to do it all.
Does this start out like Hagler Hearns with fireworks, or does it build like a crescendo, like a Corrales and Castillo?
I think it slowly builds, but once it reaches its peak, we got a real action situation at hand. Whenever it starts, it can't stop now because the fire is lit. Now is who has the bigger bombs, who can put the bombs in the right places first.
I mean, if you like fighting, or even just if you like violence, not just boxing fans, but MMA fans, football fans, this is the one you can't miss, right?
You cannot possibly miss this. If you ever wanted to see a real fight in your life, it don't get no better than this.
Canelo, thank you for joining us today. Triple G, thank you. Roy, as always, appreciate it. That was Under the Lights. And a reminder...